Ooh, it's cold outside. It's always good to have those conversations about that energy to keep us warm. And I have Isaac Brown. He's the certified energy specialist out of Hickston for Allied Cooperative. Now I'm talking about staying warm out there and wondering about that winter fuel. How are those propane supplies going right now?
Yeah, Jill, we've really positioned ourselves well as a co-op. Many in the field do the same, where they get that allocation gas for these extreme Arctic blasts we get in these winters now that seem to be rather snowless, and then we end up with these negative teens, negative 20s, and, it positions us well to take care of our customers, especially those folks, that get on Keep Fill, where it's relatively easy. We have a system in place. You sign one form, and we actually just take care of your propane. It routes everything, and you never actually have to check those tanks. But for those folks that maybe have more sporadic usage, or they'd like to time their fills accordingly, we just kind of ask that most folks go out and check their tanks and try to get them right around 30% if you can. It gives us plenty of time to get out there and make sure that, you never run out of gas. And, we do actually have a lot of folks in our area that are on fuel oil as well. And fuel oil, there's typically a 260, 270-gallon tank in the basement of the home. And, if you recently purchased a home, it's a good idea to keep an eye on that tank. There's usually a gauge on top, and you probably want to be calling before it's down to a quarter full. We have seen, some where it's a little tight this year, and just want to make sure that, especially those new homeowners, know that fuel oil, while it is a great source of heat, it can be tricky if you haven't dealt with it before. So definitely keep an eye on tanks. That's the thing when you've got it this chilly out. You don't want to be without your energy source.
I've been heating my house a long time with that propane. How has that changed with the Keep Fill programs? You guys seem to be able to keep track of that really easily right now.
Yeah, actually, here at Allied, we take advantage of artificial intelligence, which calculates degree days automatically based on what appliances are in your home, whether it's something as simple as a stove, or maybe it's a dryer or multiple furnaces, and it actually uses the BTUs from those at top operating capacity and gives us the best idea. So if a regular day is 65 degrees out, that'd be a 0 heating degree day. But if it was 0 degrees out, you got to figure that's going to be about 65 heating degree days. So you kind of add that up, and that algorithm actually makes that possible for us to route accordingly.
What are some of those latest trends that are happening out there when it comes to our winter fuel?
When we look at winter fuel, that's typically lower demand in our area. We don't quite have the density of the heating oil that they do in the New England states up to the east. But, energy supplies here in the United States are relatively strong. And, we kind of see that crude oil is hovering around that $70 to $75 a barrel, which is basically saying that refineries are able to still operate in 85 to 95% of capacity. So it's kept prices relatively steady throughout the winter, which I think most consumers have probably noticed and been able to take advantage of.
Now, I think I'm just going to rip the Band-Aid off, and with this new federal administration, they've been talking a lot about the tariffs. And what have you heard about the tariffs on our fuel supplies?
Obviously, some of our most efficient and cheapest crude to get is actually pipelined in from Canada. So that infrastructure being in place, it means that about 60% of energy imports into the United States as raw crude or finished product come from Canada. So that's not to say that domestic production doesn't far exceed that, but when it comes to putting a tariff, whether it's 10% or 25%, that can have a shock in the market. And Honestly, a lot of what we saw was kind of already baked into the price as they saw that was coming in. Maybe prices went up about 10 to 15, maybe 20 cents in some instances from even the mention of tariffs. And I think, as long as we don't see a broader trade war, which I don't think any side wants to see, we kind of are put in this limbo of pricing right now where we're seeing that the U.S. is positioned fairly well to handle kind of these shocks. But, there's a lot of global factors that go into that as well.
Well, always good to have an update on keeping our houses warm and the supply of those winter fuels from Isaac Brown, certified energy specialist out of Hickston for Allied Cooperative. And I'm Joe Welke.